Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Asphalts and Aprons, the podcast where we talk Freemasonry, bikes, and anything else that takes our fancy.
Usually with very little planning and even less control.
Today we've got a guest who makes us look wildly unproductive.
Yeah, co-founder of the Edinburgh Combat Project, a martial arts charity helping young people and somehow also a Mason and a rider.
So today we welcome Pawel Zakrzewski. The in-house joke there is maybe can never get his name right, but we'll go with that. But thanks for coming on, Pawel. Pawel's also known as Ninja 2.0 on his road name, but we'll go into that later. Thanks for coming on. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you for having me on.
So let's get where at the start. How did the Edinburgh Combat Project start?
The Edinburgh Combat Project, it's a difficult one because we always supported the community in one way or another, even when the combat martial arts were running commercially as a gym. It's always had let's call it a charitable arm. But what we experience, especially after COVID, is a knock-on effect of affordability or lack of thereof. And kids were coming onto the facility and they had the willingness to participate, but they had no means to do so. And that could materialize itself in different ways. They either couldn't afford training, or they couldn't afford the equipment, or they couldn't afford either of those things. So me being me, I just started letting them on to train and participate in classes and loaning them equipment and like just trying to include them in the community that we had going on. At the time, it was, as I said, it was just run as a gym. It was called Endangered Martial Arts. And we had a fantastic group of kids at the time training. And, they were a fantastic community there. So I didn't want to exclude anyone, especially that, I was once one of those kids. After my dad passed away, I was the kid that was brought into the boxing gym to sort out some of the issues that had going on past my dad's death. And I just didn't have the heart to knock someone back. But there was a turning point where we ran in a class, and it's a busy class, there's about 30 kids in class. And my assistant, Alice, the one that does all the work for me, and comes over and is like, it's a busy class. I said, yeah, it's great. The place is buzzing. Everyone's getting involved. It's a great atmosphere. I says, how many of those kids are actually paying? Do you know? I said, probably half. And she looks at me and says, one. I said, oh, we have a problem. There's 30 kids. 29 of them can't afford to participate in sport. Me and my brother, who co-founded the charity with me, we sat down and thought, okay, how are we going to address this issue? Clearly, we're in a community that is crying for help. There's a lot of kids that, again, overlooked, not getting the support they need. We need to do something about it. And we were thinking about the social enterprise. We were thinking about maybe just adjusting the memberships in the gym ever so slightly so we could then justify giving those places away. But neither of those models were sustainable long term. So really forming a charity in a way that we did and creating something truly special and long lasting was the way to go.
What sort of timescale? What year are we looking at? Was the founding of the charity?
So we started working on the charity just after COVID. So early 2020, we started putting a structure together and we started reaching out to Oscar, and we thought it's going to be a quick 6 months. We'll be registered. All that's going to be done. But turns out because of the structure, because we are a first charity, and I believe we were the first charity of our kind in Scotland at the time, we had a lot of red tape to cut through. So we didn't actually get officially registered till May 2023. During that time, during the 3 years, we continued our commitment to the community and we looked after the kids that were taking part in the program and we supported them. And now that we're fully registered as a Scottish charity, we do that on a much bigger scale and we consistently try to expand that program to involve more kids of our community and beyond. So going back a wee bit, starting anything like that is no small job. How tough was it in the early days? Give us some examples on funding struggles, finding a space, a suitable space, and also the hard thing, I suppose, is getting people to believe in what you were doing. Well, I think you're trying to give me a little bit of PTSD here because I'm just thinking about it. I don't look at it as struggles. I look at this as challenges. Through my boxing career, I had certain challenges and things to navigate. So that was always a challenge. Finding a space. How it all started, we were running out of community hall at Normerkison Centre. We were so successful in attracting people. Other trainers got a little bit jealous, so they would grass me up if I ran over 5-10 minutes. So that was not sustainable model to run out of the community center, which I actually really would have liked because they already have good footfall and there's like kids that we want to work with go to those places, but just wouldn't work out. Fast forward a little bit, couple of months after that, we found a small space next to the car wash. Again, not ideal, but it had the required use. Believe it or not, it had a class 11 use. So we were able to then utilize that space. It was only 1,600 square feet, give or take. And we matted it out. We started it all with actually £200. So we had £200 in the bank when I first approached community center to rent a hall, and I had to come up with the ways of getting my hands on equipment. So I was browsing market space like crazy for looking for equipment that is maybe a couple of months old, that maybe some of the gyms are getting rid of, that we can use in an interim until we have a little bit more funding to go and source bits ourselves. But again, none of those approaches were long-term approaches. So when we dissected this after being in that space next to the car wash for a bit, we said, okay, so clearly the equipment is ridiculously expensive and there's no need for it to be. The spaces, the rental spaces, the market is highly saturated with martial arts instructors, but they're always aiming at the same market, the one that can afford the training. We were more looking at this from the angle, okay, how we can improve the whole of our community, how we can actually that community, so to give them something to look forward to, not basing it off the pound value. And that's how this whole thing started getting a little bit more traction. It's funny to look at it now because we grew the charity, we actually grew the commercial side alongside of it. And in May 2025, we have moved to probably our biggest facility yet. We're currently in charge of the building that is 12,000 square feet. So it's absolutely massive. It's a huge undertaking. But because we were able to grow it sustainably up until this point, now we can look after hundreds of kids in our community. Funding, all that, like I don't really see this as a small challenge. It's a massive challenge. It's an obstacle that we need to go past every single time we want to include more of the kids in the community. And it's just a must. It's not something that will happen or maybe will happen. It needs to happen for us to grow. So everyone in a team knows that I do not take no for an answer. I'm just going to find a different angle to approach and get
In
the
the short
funding.
time I've known you, I've kind of noticed that. Yeah. So there's a phrase that bands about that I use quite a lot. It's when Pavel conjures you into doing something. I think one of the things since we've met and known each other over a couple of years that resonates with me is my martial arts background was about teaching the kids in the community and helping there. So I instantly recognized what you were trying to do and was happy to try and help out and do that. But I think the biggest thing I've noticed with you is funding is essential, but it's not always the one that'll get you to the next level. I mean, you've been great at getting people to come and help you, businesses to support you, tradesmen that'll come in and help you with little jobs. And it's that fact that everybody can feel they can contribute something. It's not about saying, give me £1,000. It's like, do you know how to wire a plug? Right? I've got 200 plugs that need rewired and practice. And people will get involved in that because of what you're doing for the community. To try and break this down a little bit more for the listeners, what is it that the charity is offering to kids and what age groups do you cover and what are people going to learn? Because some people might go, oh, I don't want my kids learning martial arts. What is it all about? What's the essence of the project?
I think martial arts is just a hook. It's just a way to get people through the doors. What you learn actually is that you're a part of a really supportive community. You're a part of something that's beyond the training, beyond being on the mats. There's people that, as you said, people will come and help to rewire the plug, but likely the students will help each other with the next kick, with the next punch, with the next challenge. And there was a point, the friend of ours, Leah, brought her kids to train with us. And they joined the class, and after the class, we had a small chat, and she says, "Wow, the kids here are so helpful." But because we were so close to those kids, I did not see the change. The change has happened. They came into the facility. They were a little bit rowdy. They were a little bit lost, misguided, and over the course of the months and the huge amount of work we put in them in terms of mentoring, giving them the discipline, giving them the structure to follow, they changed. Says my kids were never supported by their peers like that, like they have been in this facility. So before I went on, it's like, no, they're little shits. I stopped myself, like, hold on a second. The kids are really nice. What's going on in here? And the way I look at this, and you know this from our interactions, I love high performance networks. And then when I look at the facility here and the structure that kids need to follow to get them successful, not only on the mats, but at school and their social interactions, to give them assertiveness, we need to expose them to high performance framework. And we do that in a small scale when they're coming on to experience the martial arts training or a fitness training or just need a little bit of guidance. And that's essentially what we do. We're trying to give them discipline. We're trying to give them a supportive and safe environment to exceed and perform.
So for anybody that's never heard of the Edinburgh Combat Project, can you just give us a brief outline of what they can expect when they walk through the doors for the first time?
I would say my smiling face, but I'm not always smiling. What you're going to expect is we're a martial arts school first and foremost. You will get
What
taught.
type of age groups do you work with?
So we start at 7 years old. And again, this is something I would like to improve on in the future. But currently, with the type of insurance that we have, we're only allowed to take kids from the age of 7. Like if we could find resources to start it from the age of 5, I would love that. But the jump there is quite significant. So we start at the age of 7 for the juniors, and we continue working with them up until the 16 in a junior framework. And past the age of 16, we have the 4 years of the transition. So we have a young adult from 16 to 20. And that's usually where the charitable program ends, if you want to say. But like if you're coming onto the gym, a lot of people would have a conception of this being a violent space or a rowdy space, and it's nothing like that. And very often when I think about martial artists, if someone tells me they've done martial arts, say like the guy's been exposed to, or a girl or a person, whatever, they've been exposed to a amount of discipline, relentless training, a lot of repetition, the no give up attitude. And I think about them as a pillars of the community. We need more people like that, especially in today's day and age where social media is like influencing kids, and we have a massive society being ready to give up. They don't like something, they're ready to quit. The worst thing we can do to the kids is teach them that giving up is okay. We want to make sure that when they're presented with a problem, and that's what you're getting through something silly and maybe on the surface not relatable to everyday martial arts. You're going to come in. We're going to teach you how to solve problems in more than just one way. We can use a basic example of a kick. How you defend the kick. There's more than one way to defend the kick. You can catch it, you can block it, you can slip it, you can lean back, and it's all about presenting them with that alternative perspective. You might not be good with blocking it, but you can maybe dodge it. Maybe you can step back. Maybe you can just disengage. Which disengagement is my favorite concept of all. Walk away from something that's not right for you, right? And learn to live another day, essentially. And I could go on and on and on about this because I'm super, super passionate about it as a concept.
Well, when you're old like me, it's easy to walk away. Just know very quick.
In life in general, you need to know which situations are not going to go in your favor. So you just need to step back. It's a brilliant lesson that you can pretty much teach someone in 5 minutes on the mats.
Certainly from my experience in martial arts, it is more, I mean, there's a preconception. People think, well, you're just teaching people how to fight and do this. It's not. It's everything that comes in with that. As you say, the confidence, the respect, the discipline, the camaraderie. Again, we mentioned that in a lot of previous episodes. I've found that the martial arts community is one of the most welcoming and supportive communities I've ever experienced. And it really hits home what you're doing here with the kids and how they can then develop. I mean, you were saying there about how the kids can change. I remember one of my kids way back in the day, because I'm old, who was a right little shit, to coin a better phrase. And then I bumped into him so many years later after I'd retired and everything. And he's a serving police officer. And he said to me, he says, if you hadn't helped me turn that round back in the day and actually realise how bad I was, I wouldn't be where I was. And that means more than any trophy or anything like that. Is you're helping people develop their lives and make them change. Now, in the last couple of years, I've seen you, as you were saying there, about the previous training location that you had to the establishment you've got now on Gorby Road, which, the basement Excel is great. You've got all the equipment here. Now they've taken over the gym aspect as well to make it more welcoming. And you were mentioning our friend Leah there, whose kids came to train, and now the adults can train at the gym. So there's a good connection there of a great community spirit. So is that the charities movement now is to involve as many people as it can, rather than just the kids as well? They can bring the adults in to be involved and help support it?
I think it's actually two-pronged now, right? We're looking at the strain that NHS is under. People that have high blood pressure, they're not exercising, they're maybe only focusing on the welfare of their child. And by default, they're neglecting their own health. Now, if you're taking a child to training and they're participating for an hour and a half, you don't have enough time to go elsewhere to exercise and come back, pick them up. You're just sacrificing your own health for that. What we coincidentally created here, which was not an aim to and you know this, Steve, like we had no finances to undertake that sort of commitment of the project, but it was necessity for us to do that because it was more about survival at the stage where that deal came about, because the leasing arrangement we had with the previous owners. We came into possession of this gym that's literally above us, and by default we created a mechanism for parents to get involved in training as their kids are participating, getting the valuable lessons of martial arts, but they can also now do a little bit of fitness. And we see fantastic movement from parents dropping the kids off, going upstairs, scanning their memberships, exercising for 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full hour. And they're coming down and observing their kids, like how much improvement they're going through as well at the same time. And it's just a habit. It becomes a habit. And in my eyes, it's a fantastic movement. We should encourage all the gyms, not just us. Like we're doing something special, right? But we're obviously not the only ones that are trying to do a change in the community. But like, if you can include the parents and the kids under one roof, it's a fantastic thing.
One thing we'll also touch on, because you're an ideal person to interview, because you're also a Freemason, member of Lodge Colinton, Currie 1029. How did that come about? What sort of moved you towards Freemasonry, and how did you get into Freemasonry?
It was our mutual friend, just Green, brother Green. To be fair, he sold it to me at slightly different preface. It says, Pav, it's a group of guys. We meet once a month. We have a couple of beers. It's great. And I mean, okay, that sounds good, because I've actually never had a lot of community around me since I came to Edinburgh. I have this disease, which is called work. Like, I love working. Like, I don't stop. I don't switch off. Throughout, I've been here for 17 years. I had a very small network because I was consistently focused on just either my performance or work performance or improving at work. That was the whole thing. So when I spoke to James, I thought, actually, it might be good for me to just have people around me that are different. They're not in my work network.
Yeah.
They're just outside.
Interest.
Yeah. And I said, you know what? I'll try to give this Freemasonry a go, and we'll see how it goes. So I approached it with completely open mind.
I do remember you were quite laid back right from the word go.
I was like, I don't know what to expect. Plus, if you try to research it, it's no one knows what they're joining at the beginning.
I've said that myself. You do not know what you're joining.
But I think I like that from the get-go. It's like, it's an adventure, right? So in my head, it was an adventure. It's like, I want to sign up for this. There's obviously, can I say 3 degrees of no? You cut it out if you don't.
Yeah, no, I can say there's 3 degrees.
So there's 3 degrees, right? And you have no idea what they're going to consist of. After the first one, I was hooked. It's like, because I didn't expect any of it. By the third one, I had a chat with Kenny. So I'm going to be the first Polish master of the 1029. In 20, 30 years, but that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's such a intriguing community, the history, the whole thing that goes around. People, so welcoming, so welcoming. It allows me to also detune that one meeting a month. It means so much to me from my well-being point of view. Is going away to the different environment, meeting people, speaking to them. Sometimes you can share your problems as well with them, and they're super supportive. Like, I really enjoy Freemasonry.
And you would have found it even more fun when you found out there were bikes connected to it as well. So what are you currently riding just now?
I've got a best bike ever, and you might disagree because we all have our favorites. I've got a Honda CB1000R. It's a Neo Sports Cafe bike.
It's a lovely bike. I think your colour code on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
the wrapping. You've got it custom wrapped, and obviously that reflects your taste in things, which is probably why Alice and Emma are the ones that do everything to do with decorating the gym and everything, because God knows what we've been looking at your hair. But How did you feel? How did you feel when someone said, "Look, do you know there's a Masonic Riding Association? You remember the Widow's Son, Solomon's Guard." What were your thoughts when that was introduced to you as well?
I mean, what's not to like, right? At that point, I was already becoming a Mason, so I knew yourself, and I was getting into a couple of rides with the guys. But again, approach it with open mind. You don't have, you can never get into something with a preconception of what it should be like or what it's going to be like. So I joined a couple of rides. Good atmosphere. Everyone has their bike. The camaraderie, the welcoming environment of the biking world. I enjoyed that fact. And again, I'm a workaholic, so for me to get something
To get
to
some time out
detract
there.
me from work, it's great. That's why I love the motorbike so much, and that's why it is as unique as it is. Because like I need the bike space to distract myself from doing work. So if I can sacrifice 3 hours in a week and work on a motorcycle or go on a ride, it's really good for me. Otherwise, I'll just be kicking the kids around in a charity here all the time. They don't appreciate that either.
I don't think you're ever going. We talk about personal space. Everybody talks about their personal space, but I don't think you ever really get personal space unless you're on a bike. When you're on that motorbike yourself, that's your space. That's your bubble. And it's a great place to be.
And even when you're riding as a group, I know there'll be like 10, 15 of us there, but even though we're riding together, you're still in your own bubble on the bike. It's it's just you and your devices. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But I think people sometimes feel it hard to understand that how can you have your own personal time when there's a 15 out riding? You are riding a group, but everybody's individual within that group.
Yeah.
But all at the same time, everybody's still watching out for everybody in the group from safety
Some people
factors and
cannot take
not getting
corners.
lost and watching who goes around corners, who doesn't go around the corner so well, and things like that.
I've said it depends on what bike.
Depends on what bike you're on. Yeah, sure, it's not on his cruiser, he's fine. But it's good to see from our perspective, our perspective, how everything sort of links with you. You're saying there about the preconception. It's a preconception of what it's like to come into the Edinburgh Combat Project martial arts, the preconception of joining Freemasonry, the preconception of going along to your first ride with the Masonic bikers. And the only way to get rid of that preconception is to go along and try it. Go along with the open mind. See what it's like. It might be for you, it might not be for you. You might not take up martial arts. You might not go into Freemason. You might not like Masonic riding, but you're never going to know until you try that. And I certainly, from knowing you and know how a workaholic you are, that you almost live in this gym because you're 100% dedicated to your kids and the success of the charity, that you bring that with you in everything you do. So it's good to see you relax, whether that's at the lodge or at a cafe somewhere that we've stopped at when we're out on the ride. So it's great to see that aspect. So sort of tying things up just a little bit, what do you see the future of the charity and the challenges that it's got coming forward?
I think the challenges for us is getting the corporate cooperation. There's so many fantastic charities in Edinburgh alone. You have just down the road the House of Hope, great charity, absolutely great charity. They do great work. So for us to compete for corporate partnership or corporate sponsorship is a massive hurdle, because to truly understand what we do, you need to take part. It's very similar to coming onto the lodge for the first time. You're not going to understand it unless you do the first step and just take part. But trying to get the wider community to understand the level of change that we do for the kids that are a part of our project is truly life-changing. It might not seem fancy. It might not seem like, the next best shiny thing, but it changes those lives. Not just for now that they have something to do, somewhere to go, but it changes them for the future. It will give them the framework to succeed at anything they're going to attempt in life. And that might be the case when they're in a program, but that's also going to be the case when they leave the program, because you cannot change some of the habits that we're going to give to you. Like, they're just going to stay with you throughout your life. You can try what I mean. I give you a lot of burpees if you deviate. So
just what you're saying there, I think it's a good point to touch on here, as you're saying about changing and developing lives. You were involved recently in a United Nations program. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that was?
Yeah, so we're a part of the Martial Arts Coalition, and that's a wider global movement. I think currently it's like 92 different organizations that are a part of Martial Arts Coalition, but we're We've been essentially used as an example for the United Nations documentary, and I was on the UN side of it. We work very closely to meet the social development agenda goals for 2030. And we're doing a lot of work to look at social development of kids and organizations that work with the areas that are affected by poverty, by factors that will strand communities from growing. Our UN cooperation is a very, very valuable part of how we're pushing this project forward. You're talking about the guy that not so long ago was running a gym out of car wash, and right now we're spearheading something that is essentially moving gyms across the globe. Right? It's not a small project that we're actually running from this facility right now at this space, and there's a lot of learning from other gyms, other countries that is happening, and right now based on what we've put together and how we're willing to go forward.
Yeah, when you actually look from where you were, this time last year? When was it you moved in here?
May. So yeah,
This
time last
This
year.
time
was,
last year, where you were along the road, where you were sort of, as you were saying, you were sharing your area with a car wash. It was like how you managed to run a gym in that area from look where you are now. This place is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic compared to where you were. So hats off to you and your team for managing to complete what you've done in such a short time.
Yeah, totally agree, Rob. And I would say, as Pawel mentioned earlier, if anybody is curious about it, as we keep saying about curious about Freemasonry, come and find out more. Come along and see for yourselves. Pawel and I are part of a business networking group, and we had a taster session, and I've never seen so many old men struggle with what they were doing, but have so much fun doing it, and it gave us a better understanding of what's involved and what can be done. And it is for all ages. There's classes that get run, and it is for all ages. I mean, I'm even back doing a little bit of training every week and things like that. What would make the biggest difference to the charity right now? If somebody says, how can I help? What would make big differences to you?
The big difference is right now, right this moment, because we're going through this transition, is volunteering to help us move things around. If you know a joiner, an electrician, a painter, or a carpenter, so people involved in the trades that could help us transform the space to even be more fantastic than that already is. These are the people that we're really seeking out to and trying to connect with. But likewise, if you have connections with people that would like to support us on a bigger scale, from a commercial point of view, like law firms, accounting firms, etc., and would like to support the project and the change we're driving for those kids, both of those things would be quite critical at this point.
I certainly know from my past experiences, there's a lot of businesses out there that don't just see they have to tick this box of social corporate responsibility. They do want to be involved. So if there is anyone listening, please get in touch, because your business can make such a difference to the charity. And in more ways than one, as Pawel said, it's not all just about money. It's sometimes about time, giving your time up to help move something, to fix something, anything like that. So please do get in touch. Funding, we did talk about it before. We're talking about volunteers. Giving up your time as well would be great. How should people get in touch if they do want to help out?
Well, you can reach us many different ways. I mean, probably you're going to share a link under this post. I would assume that'll be the easiest way
we'll
for
share
the
the links,
to get in touch with us. But also our website, social media is always a good one. But don't be a stranger. If you are in an area of Gorgie, just come off the street and come and meet us. There's always someone from the charity at the premises at all time. So if you want to come and meet us, shake our hand, and see that we're real, that we're not just, online social presence. We're real people, like we're driving real change in the community. Just come pop in for a coffee and have a chat.
So we always wind the podcast up now with some quick fire questions, which Trog's going to throw at you.
Oh, is he?
He is. Yes. He just woke up.
I just cancelled all that as well.
I'll get the
You
first
fire
one.
them.
Well, we're going to your favourite martial art.
Thai boxing,
Are you any good at it?
relatively.
Right. And this is not one. This is just more a personal one. Who's better, you or Emma?
Emma.
We all know that anyway. First bike.
Well, it's a tricky one when it comes to first bike, because long time ago, I rented a Yamaha R1. So I don't know if it counts as a first bike, but I briefly owned it for about an hour before I got shouted at to bring it back to the rental place and downgraded to a little Honda Scoopy 125 moped.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early morning training or late at night?
Both. You should train 6 hours in the morning, have a short nap.
I knew you
6
were going to
hours in
say
the
that.
afternoon.
I knew you was going to say that.
That's him having a
You
nap.
can get more work done that way.
One word to describe the Edinburgh Combat Project.
Amazing.
That's brilliant. Compared to the subway, one word
So
for
yeah,
him
to
was
cut,
half an
to
hour.
cut a long story short, so to speak. Pav, thanks for having us here. We are recording this in the basement part of the gym. As you say, the best way to find out more about it, people, is to come along, introduce yourself, drop them a line through the website. We'll put all the links on our Facebook page, etc. It's a great place. I've witnessed the kids doing their training. They seem to be liking Rice Krispies lately. So if any, what kind of Rice Krispies? The Rice
Or
Krispie bars?
whatever we can get our hands on.
Anything.
I mean,
Even
we
like,
gear
even
it up
donations like that.
specifically.
We've seen people handing boxes of Rice Krispie bars because it's great for the kids, especially with the summer classes coming up. But come along, have a look, folks. Adults as well. See what will benefit you. And Pav, thanks for joining us today. It's been
Thanks
really
for
great
having
having
me.
you.
Yeah, this is why we started this podcast. It's for real people, real stories. If anybody wants to support the Edinburgh Combat Project, we will put the links up
Yep, we'll put
in the
links.
next episode. Thanks again, Pav, for enjoying it.
And just maybe last thing, we mentioned before about promoting various events and things that are coming up. So we've had a quick message in from the Lodge Sons of the Soil, 1451.
Simon Lease
Simon
sent
Lease.
us a message, and they are, as you said, Lodge Sons of the Soil, 1451, and they're from the northern area. They're from Aberdeenshire. So they're doing a visit to Roslin Chapel, and I think it's June, they said.
18th of June, yeah.
And we are also trying to arrange one ourselves with the Sons in July up at Roslin. And if anybody wants links or contact details for anyone associated with that, we have got the details for that as well, because we've got a few friends who run the tours from Roslin St Clair 606.
So any other intimations you might have that you want us to put out there coming up? And just want to remember that, Pav, you've got a big one coming up in September. And I'm not talking about the kilt walk because you conned me into that last year. My feet were killing me. But what's happening in September that people can come along to and help support the charity with?
Well, on the 13th is a kilt walk. 19th, we have 19th of September, we have our annual charity gala ball, and we're hosting it at Prestonfield this year. And the whole event, whole production is going to be truly amazing. So if anyone would like to attend, please get in touch with us. We're happy to sort out something.
So everybody listening to that, the charity ball is in September. There will be full details coming out and about on the Facebook pages for the charity, etc. And I'm sure a lot of the brethren in the province would be happy to come along and support that.
Yeah.
But once again,
So-
Pav, thanks for being with us today. It's been great having you. And hopefully me and Trog will get out of this gym without having to do any burpees. See you all next time, folks. Take care.
Bye for now, folks.